You walk into the room, the music is playing, people are laughing, glasses clinking. Everyone looks like they belong exactly where they are. You smile at the right moments. You answer when someone asks how you're doing. From the outside, everything looks completely normal, but inside, there's this quiet distance. Like everyone is close enough to touch, but not close enough to actually reach you. And the confusing part is that you can't explain it. You're not alone. You're surrounded. But you feel completely invisible in a room full of people who can see your face. 3 things. Why your brain experiences this disconnection as something closer to pain than just discomfort. The hidden reason it keeps happening, no matter how many people are around. And the honest split that explains why some people leave social events feeling full and others leave feeling emptier than before. First, the most important reframe of this entire video. Because most people who feel this carry a quiet shame about it, as if feeling lonely in company is proof that something is broken in them. Nothing is broken. You're experiencing something psychologists have a precise name for. Loneliness is not the physical absence of people. It is the perceived absence of meaningful connection. And those 2 things are completely different. Social psychologist John Cacioppo spent his career studying loneliness. His core finding: what makes you lonely isn't being alone, it's the gap between the connection you have and the connection you need. You can have that gap in an empty room. You can also have that gap in a room of 50 people. The number of bodies has almost nothing to do with it. In a famous fMRI study by Naomi Eisenberger, Matthew Lieberman, and Kipling Williams, participants played a virtual ball-tossing game called cyberball. At some point, the other players simply stopped passing the ball. A small, quiet exclusion, no words, no explanation, just being left out of something ordinary. The brain scans were striking. Being excluded activated regions involved in social distress. Your brain treating the experience of being left out as something deeply, biologically important. This is why belonging can feel less like a preference and more like an alarm system. Your brain can treat threats to belonging as deeply important because social connection has always mattered for survival, which means that hollow feeling you carry home from parties, family dinners, and work events, it isn't dramatic. It isn't you being too sensitive. Your nervous system is doing exactly what it was built to do. Second, let's talk about why this specifically keeps happening. Because the answer isn't that you need more people. Most people who feel this already have enough people. The issue is something quieter. Psychologists Roy Baumeister and Mark Leary identified what they called the need to belong, one of the most fundamental human motivations. Not just to be near people, to feel genuinely accepted and known by them. Known. That word is the whole video. Because there's a difference between being liked and being known, and most social situations only offer you one of them. Being liked means your performance landed. People enjoyed the version of you that showed up. They laughed at your jokes. They included you in the conversation. They'll invite you back. Being known means someone saw past the performance. They know what you're actually like when nothing is going well. They've seen a version of you that wasn't particularly impressive and stayed anyway. You can spend an entire evening being liked and still drive home feeling completely alone. Because what your nervous system was searching for, the thing Baumeister and Leary identified as fundamental, was never offered. Third, why the mask makes it worse. Because most people in that room are doing the same thing you're doing, performing a version of themselves they believe the room will accept. Sociologist Arlie Hochschild called this surface acting, showing an emotion on the outside that does not match what is happening inside. The more successfully you perform, the more alone you feel. Because if people are responding warmly to a version of you that isn't fully real, then they're not actually connecting with you. They're connecting with your representative, and your representative gets all the warmth, while you stand behind the mask, watching someone else receive the connection you needed. This is why people pleasers often feel the loneliest in crowded rooms, not because nobody is around, but because the version of them that gets accepted is never the full version. They get approval, but not intimacy. They get included, but still feel emotionally outside. They get liked over and over again, but rarely known. And there's a specific grief in that. You're there. You're participating. You're smiling. But some deeper part of you is still waiting to be invited, still waiting for someone to ask the question that actually reaches you. Here's the honest split. Two completely different people can be in the exact same room at the exact same party, talking to the exact same people. One leaves feeling connected. The other leaves feeling invisible. Same room, opposite experience. The first person brought themselves into the room, not their representative, themselves. They let something real show, a moment of honesty, a genuine reaction, a question that came from actual curiosity. The second person performed the whole evening perfectly. They said the right things. They laughed at the right moments. And they left with nothing that felt real, because nothing real was ever put on the table. Same evening, opposite outcome. The test is simple. When you leave a social event, do you feel seen? Or do you feel like you performed well? Seen is the first person. Performed well is the second. And performed well, for most people who feel this, is what an entire social life starts to feel like after years of keeping everything safely hidden. There's also a layer underneath this that almost nobody names. Sometimes you don't feel alone because the room is shallow. Sometimes you feel alone because you're in the wrong room entirely. You may be around people who know your name, your job, your plans, but not your inner world. People who know your humor, but not your fears. People who would have no idea what silence means when it appears in your eyes. That kind of loneliness is harder to fix with social invitations. The problem isn't quantity, it's fit, and no amount of showing up to events with the wrong people will close the gap. There's a line worth carrying with you after this video ends. Being liked is what you collect. Being known is what you need. And a room full of people who like you is not the same as one person who actually knows you. Before you go, here's one thing to try in the next 24 hours. Not a social overhaul, a single small experiment. The next time you're in a conversation, try saying one true thing instead of one comfortable thing. Not your deepest wound, not your full story. Just one honest sentence that doesn't perform safety. Something like, honestly, I've been feeling a bit disconnected lately. Or, I find it hard to feel relaxed in big groups. One small piece of your actual experience, offered carefully. Notice what happens. Safer people usually do not punish you for becoming a little more real. They'll exhale and meet you there. Come back and tell me in the comments what shifted. Sometimes connection begins with small honesty, but only with people who have shown they can handle it. You don't have to offer your full truth to every room. You just have to find one person in it who has earned a little more of the real you. Because here's what most people who feel this never try. They wait to feel safe before they're honest. But safety in connection almost always builds through small moments of trust, offered carefully, to people who've already shown they deserve it. And if someone can only handle the version of you that performs, then they were never giving you connection. They were giving you company. And company and connection are not the same thing. Company fills a room. Connection fills something inside you. And a room full of company, no matter how large, how loud, how well attended, will never fill the space that only connection can reach. If you've spent years feeling this and never understood why, try not to shame yourself for it. You weren't failing at socializing. You were searching for something real in rooms that only offered performance back. Your loneliness isn't proof that you're broken or unlikable. It's proof that some part of you still knows the difference between being seen and being smiled at. And that part is not weak. That part is honest. The deepest loneliness isn't being by yourself. It's being around people while pretending not to need anything. And the beginning of connection is usually one brave sentence, one honest moment, where you stop performing long enough to let someone meet the real you. If any of this hit subscribe and like. It genuinely helps the channel reach more people who need to hear it. Tell me in the comments, when do you feel most alone? When you're by yourself? Or when you're in a room full of people? Honest answer.